Hey, Scraptember fans, welcome back to another process video. And today is Scraptember catch-up day number 2. And the prompt for today was a white base. This was something, I'm not going to lie, I actually had a little bit of trouble with. I think because I generally, if I have a white base, I'm usually covering it in paint. Or I am using pattern paper a lot just to get through my stash, I think, of late. So this one was a little bit tricky, but that's the whole point, I guess, of these prompts as well, is to inspire some creative thinking. I think the other side to it is the photos I have here are not particularly sort of colourful or, so, which normally would be great because it leaves, plenty to play with in regards to colour palette, but I struggled. I'm not going to lie. So what I decided to do, in my head, my plan was that I would keep the white base and have as much white space as possible, but obviously having embellishments around it. So I started off I knew I needed to map my photos. They're very flat sort of photos. As I said, there's not a lot of colour. The two photos for context is one, a selfie of me in the car on the way to my work office, which is about an hour and a half from where I live. I don't go in every day. I started off when I first started in the role weekly, then it moved to fortnightly, monthly, and now it's supposed to be fortnightly, but it's sometimes a little bit more than that, and that is okay. And it is a really nice drive when the weather is good, particularly coming past, if anyone's familiar, between Canberra and Goulburn, Lake George is beautiful first thing in the morning. So snapped a selfie because why not? And the other photo is a little sneaky treat, which is probably not so sneaky anymore, that I love to get when I'm in Goulburn. And the reason for that is there is no other place here in Canberra. Well, there isn't a Wendy's shop. So the Wendy's ice cream shop here in Australia, I'm not sure if you have it anywhere else. There's very few and far between that I found. There is absolutely none anymore in Canberra. So I was super excited. It's the small things in life. When I first started going to the Goulburn office and found it in the little shopping centre across the road from my office. So as a treat to myself, when I go into the office, I generally will go and get me a Wendy's Flake Shake. Growing up as a kid, we had a Wendy's, and it was such an awesome treat, and I mean treat. It was not something we did very often, to get one of these. So I guess it's just a childhood fave. So yes, some context on those photos there. As I said, it's documenting the everyday. They're not particularly exciting. There's not a major event. It was just me just snapping those things of the everyday. All right, so what you can see is I have used two printable 4x6 PL cards as a photo mat, and then I found this little, envelope-y type thing when I was looking through my stash for some sort of themed based type embellishments. So being that I was going into my office, I swore I had I thought it was Pink Fresh Studio had brought out a bit of an office days or something type collection. I thought I had it. I was wrong. I have the COVID one that they brought out. I think it's Let's Stay Home, I think. I really didn't. Anyway, but I found these envelopes and I'd never used them. I love the way that people use them as a way of putting sneaky journaling in, and I was going to use that for that reason, and pop a little bit of journaling and slide it in there as just like another little element, kind of like an interactive element to the page, but it wouldn't fit, as you saw me playing with before. So I've done it as another kind of layering piece, also covering up the words baking together, which it said. So I guess the thought process behind that is that you would do that and put like a recipe maybe in there, and slide it in for safekeeping later on, but there is no baking here. yes, so this is what I've done, is made sort of a horizontal sort of layering piece, which I actually really like the look of. And the colours, as I said, there's no colour. Well, there's colour, but there's not a lot of colour in the photo. But I kept them as very muted as possible as well. Those cards are not, in your face. The pink's nice, but subtle, I feel, anyway. All right, so I have put that journaling spot down the bottom. Can't remember exactly what it says. It has the intent to be around baking and those sorts of things, or cooking. I'm going to use it to document my Wendy's treat. And then I've pulled out this stash of ephemera that I have a lot of. I haven't used it a lot. It came in a kit. I do really like the florals, and I actually really liked the way, like the colours of the florals. I thought they went quite well with this photo. They were quite muted. They were, a bit darker. So I just went with it, and quite subtle. In the end, you will see, but I kind of have ended up making like a little shelf for my photos here using all of these embellishments. And I did go really nuts. Now, you're probably thinking, why florals? Nothing to do with office. I just thought it looked pretty. That's pretty much it. I just liked the look of them. As I said, I didn't have any officey type or too many officey type like embellishments, so why not? Sometimes you go theme, and sometimes you just got to branch out and go with what you got. And I wanted to use these flowers up. So yeah, making a kind of it's kind of becomes like a really one big kind of cluster, as opposed to bunching like a couple of different ones, and that's okay. So just sticking and plonking down some bits and pieces. I ended up finding a sticker sheet you'll see me bring in shortly that is a planner-based kind of one, I guess. And I'm going to use elements of that to add, some bits and pieces to my page as well that's a bit more related to being in the office. And as you can see, there is still... I had to keep reminding myself to make sure I didn't cover up all of the white. Now, you would have seen me use, there's been times where I'll branch out and I will do a white background just for something different, because I do find that I tend to go towards pattern paper, or, as I said, the mixed media side of things. But yeah, every now and again. And it's funny because when I first started scrapbooking, I feel that I did a lot of white as a base. So, always something different. And as I said, I have a lot of pattern paper, and I'm very keen to try and work through my stash. I'm not adding to it unless something really jumps out at me. Maybe some embellishments I might add to it, but not pattern paper at this point. I have a bit of a ban on buying pattern paper because it's a bit overwhelming, and I've spoken about that before as well. So here's the sticker sheet, just finding some little bits and pieces that go with my office day type thought process, and just adding little bits and, word phrases and stuff. And as you can see, I've made just one giant cluster there. I did add the pink, you can see the pink type bannery piece or ribbon, whatever you want to call it, and it has, I think, what does it say? Thankful, grateful, blessed. And the reason for that is I really, truly love the job that I do and the work that I'm involved in. I get to help little people and their families as well get supports that they might need. It combines my two passions of early childhood and psychology, so I find it really rewarding. It's very challenging at times, but I do find it rewarding. And the added bonuses, I work in a fantastic supportive team and work for an organisation that by far I have never come across before, that they are they're very focused on the well-being of staff. And yeah, so I love what I do. I am very grateful, very blessed that I had found this job when I was looking for a new role a couple of years ago. And yeah, I have no intention of going anywhere. But yes, I know that there's probably very few people that can genuinely say they love what they do, love who they work for, and love who they work with. But I got the trifecta, so I am, pretty happy. Excuse me. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Whew, a bit of a coughing fit. Anyway, I am adding in some little sparkly stars just to add another element of colour and pop to the page. There are no real 3D embellishments or anything like that. There's just, as you can see. So I just sort of thought some, little pops of glitter would just add another little subtle touch to the page. Now going through deciding on, I knew my title, but I needed to figure out what thickers I wanted to use. Was going to use the gold ones you may have seen pop up just before, but I didn't quite. I thought the gold was just far too much. And with the white base, it sort of really stuck out like a sore thumb. Now, I go with these coloured ones, which can be really challenging to use, especially if you haven't got mixed colours. Lucky I did. And I went with just a subtle little black alphas underneath for treat. All right, just journaling about how Wendy's is my childhood favourite milkshake place, and it's something that I always get when I go to Goulburn on this piece. And I actually then decide that I wanted to do a little bit of journaling just to, I guess, document my love for my job. Not that I have any great expectations that my children will look back, but if they do, they can see why this was important to me, not the milkshake, but obviously the job, and be able to remember that Mum loved what she did. And yeah, that's that really. Now these are printable little labels. I have labels coming up my ears, but I had these ones sitting in my stash and just thought, yeah, I liked the colour. Again, it's another really subtle colour scheme. Not scheme, sorry, brain's not working. So just, jotting down who I work for, what I do, and why I love it. Just for some memory keeping. And that's, sometimes it doesn't have to be, and we've talked about this before, and I know other scrappers have, you don't have to document the big events all the time. It can be just little bits and pieces. For me, I am very grateful when I lost my grandparents a few years ago. In particular, my grandmother that I was extremely close to, I had made an album for her just before she died that my aunt had helped put together with all the photos. And I now have that, and every now and again I get to pull it out and I can just look through at what her life and her stories were. Because, one day they're not going to be here, and one day I won't be here, and so as morbid as that might sound, so my kids can have a look back and they can see all the little things that were important to me, not just those, big birthdays or, awards or whatever. They can always just see the little things that Mum loved to do, or that were, of importance. Anyway, these are my close-ups. As I said, this is Scraptember Day 2. I'm catching up, so I'm probably going to be definitely going into October to catch up. But stay tuned for more. Keep an eye on my Instagram because I may just post on there and not do videos. But I thank you so much for stopping by, and I'll see you soon.